Just got back from seeing the new movie Alita Battle Angel, and I just want to give my review here. This might actually be somewhat of a quick review. I'll try to keep it somewhat short here. I really enjoyed it. It was really good. I saw it in 3D. I had to go travel about an hour away to see it because my theater for some reason was not playing it in 3D, so I had to. And, you know, how the way they're hyping it up as the cinematic 3D experience of the year, I had to go see it in 3D. Unlike most movies that are made in 3D nowadays, this was actually shot in native 3D, which is nice with actual 3D cameras. Most movies nowadays are shot with just regular cameras and then converted to 3D after the fact, which can sometimes affect the 3D. There were points in this one where it was like, even though it was shot with 3D cameras, there were parts where it's like it was really hard to tell, and a lot of it was, if they're actually there's probably better 3D in that aspect, but Alita was for the most part all CGI'd. Most of the other characters were all CGI'd. Anybody who's an actual human, they're not going to be CGI for the most part, unless otherwise. But any of the villains, any of those characters, most of them were all CGI. Any of their weapons, any of those claws that shoot out. There was I think there was two. Well, there was one person who had them. They stole them, and then they put them on this other guy who ended up using them later. But that was pretty good 3D there. It didn't really pop out as much as I thought it should have. But it's if you can see this in 3D, which most of the time they generally, depending on your theater, they'll probably only play it in 3D for maybe a week. That's what this theater was doing. So I had to see it literally this week, and it's leaving this Thursday. I saw it. Today's Tuesday. But I really enjoyed it. I didn't know the source material at all, but I really enjoyed it. One thing I'm pretty disappointed about is, more than it, the ending of it was kind of, it wants to, they're going to want to create more movies, but this, I think this is going to be a one and done, because it costs like $190 million to make, and it's going to have to make at least $300 million, if not more. It's probably got to make at least $400 million. And I can tell you, it ain't going to do that. Even though it was number one at the box office this week, I think it made about $43 million. It's got a long way to go before it ever hits the goal that it needs to make for them to make a second one. And it just, unfortunately, I just don't think it's going to happen. If they do make a second one, it's going to more than likely be a lot cheaper. It just disappoints me, because it was a really good movie. It's 2 hours long, but it's got such a good, interesting story that, some movies you see are like, oh God, this movie's just fucking dragging on. It was so good. I was really invested in the story. It was good. There was really good action. You're rooting for her. It's just a really good movie, but I'm just sad to say that more than likely this is going to be a one and done movie. They're not going to make any more Alita movies. If anything, it might be more of a maybe animated, something like that on that end. They might be able to continue the story in that aspect, but for what it cost to make this movie. And they spent a lot of money on advertising, because commercials were out the ass. They did a Super Bowl commercial. It's got a, I'm freaking hot. It's got to really perform well for them to make a second movie, and it might do well like when it goes to home video, but it's they don't count those. It's gotta be box office, $400 million, maybe, worldwide. If it gets that worldwide, possibly it might, warrant another one. But this is 20th Century Fox. They're getting bought by Disney. This is like a kind of basically a pre-Disney movie. So now that they got the backing of that, it's possible, but it's looking, based on the box office, which is what they are going to be looking at to decide if they're going to make a second movie. It's just not looking good, unfortunately. So, reviews for it are a little mixed. I think last time I checked it was like 59 on Rotten Tomatoes, which I kind of always just check. I usually read some reviews after the fact, but I guarantee you probably 95%, if not more, of the people that are reviewing this movie have no fucking clue about Alita. I really, as I say, like I said to start this video, I don't know the source material either. I haven't read any of the manga or any of that stuff, but it's getting me interested, which, that will probably happen. A lot of people will be like, they kind of want to look into the story. And the movie's based on it. So it's like, I guess you could potentially wrap up the story yourself by just reading the manga, but it's good in movie form. But just the fact that it cost $190 million to make, it's got the backing, Robert Rodriguez made this movie, produced by, James Cameron. So it's like, they kind of hype that up, it's like, it's like Avatar, which I haven't seen Avatar, but that was like, when that movie came out, that was like, 3D! That was like when 3D was like the new thing. But yeah, the 3D in this was good. I felt like it possibly could have been better, because there were some moments where it's like, there should have been more 3D to some of the scenes, but for what there was, it was good. I really enjoyed the story. It makes me interested in looking at more of the Alita story. But it ends like I kind of knew it was coming, because it's 2 hours long. Movie started at about 9:20, and I'm like, well, 2 hours, it's gonna end at 9:20 when my Fitbit was going off at 8:50 because I hadn't gotten my 250 steps in. I'm like, oh shit, it's about over in about half an hour. And it's like, I kind of could see it. And there was one point I almost thought it was going to wrap up, and I'm like, okay, no, there's going to be a little bit more. And then when I'm like, okay, it's probably been about half an hour, and it kind of ended, and was like, oh, come on, there's more story here. And I'm like, ugh, made me mad, because I'm like, I know this is not going to wrap up in a movie form, unfortunately. But I have to give this one, I think this might be my first one, but I'm going to give this 4 out of 5 stars. This was a really good movie, really good story, kept me intrigued the entire time. And there were people in the movie, like the kind of the main villain, his name was Nova. I didn't even know who he was until the very, very end of the movie. He was wearing these glasses where evidently he can take over control of people and see what they can see, from what I understood. And he takes off his glasses, and I'm like, holy shit, that's Edward Norton. And I didn't even know he was in this movie. So it's like, and then there was one scene, where there's like this, city that's, above this, like the ruins or whatever. It's like the fall. It happened like 300 years ago or whatever. And she doesn't know who she is. She kind of slowly picks up who she is. She finds out she was, I think she was called 99. But she was like I can't remember. They said what she was, but I can't remember what it was now. But there was a scene where when they were climbing up this rope, and that's kind of where stuff goes up to this city that kind of just floats there. And one of the people, I'm pretty sure, was Michelle Rodriguez. I could hear it in her voice, and she almost kind of looked like her. So I can't say that for 100% for sure, but I'm pretty sure that I think it was Michelle Rodriguez. So there's a couple characters in this movie that you're like, holy shit, I didn't even know they were in this movie. But yeah, I'd say like the main people were Jennifer Connelly. I think that's who that one chick was, who was married to Christoph Waltz, and they had a daughter named Alita. That's where this character got her name from. If you've seen the trailer, she had this white body that was going to be this doctor's daughter's body, but she ended up getting killed before she could use the body. And he was supposed to destroy this body, but ended up saving it, and it came to good use for Alita. Then later, I was going to say, I don't want to get too much into the story, but she finds this, I'm trying to remember what it's called now. What she was, got a new body, and basically from what they showed, it's like she can regenerate. Like she got stabbed at one point towards the end of the movie, and she basically was able to heal herself, which is pretty cool. So it makes her somewhat indestructible, is what it seemed like. But I really enjoyed it. You can't go off what the critics say, because like I said, they don't know the source material, neither do I, but from what I've seen, I really enjoyed it. It makes me interested in see. I don't know. I think there's. I don't know if there's any other like a short story, like movie type, anime type video version of the story, but it does make me interested in going and looking at the manga and kind of getting more story on her. So I definitely enjoyed it. I give it like I said, a 4 out of 5 stars. Worth checking out. If you can see it in 3D, check it out in 3D. If you wait about 8 months, it'll be on HBO. I guarantee you that. But support this movie. I really want to see a second one. So I really hope it does well. Because I enjoyed it. I think most people will enjoy it, even if you don't even know anything about her. I didn't know anything about her, and I really thoroughly enjoyed the movie. I just want to. I hope and pray that they make a sequel to it. It's just without it doing like Aquaman fucking numbers, it just ain't gonna happen. Unfortunately, I don't think it is. So go out and support this movie. It's good. Check it out. And that pretty much wraps it up for this review. I appreciate you guys watching. Give me a thumbs up, like, comment, subscribe, all that good shit. I really appreciate it. Thanks for watching. And go support this movie. I want to see a Alita 2. Come on. Let's do it. Thanks. Peace.